Johnny Cash's Greatest Hits Volume 1. This was kind of one of those albums I think I found in an antique store, and it has some of his most well-known tracks. Walk the Line, Jackson, Ring of Fire, It Ain't Me, Babe. Yeah, just some like solid, just Johnny Cash. I like Johnny Cash. He's pretty cool. Here's another one of his, Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison. Great album. Great album. I love it. Then we have Tracy Chapman's first album, self-titled, from 1988. I recently rediscovered Tracy Chapman's first album. I really need to get more into her music and listen to her other albums as well. I just never got a chance to. But this album is amazing. It's very different to what was coming out at the time in the 80s. Not only does it have a slightly more organic sound than a lot of other 80s albums of the period, but it also it deals with topical issues, social issues, race issues. It's just a very very emotional album, I can imagine, for Tracy to record. But it's beautiful. Love Fast Car, of course, Across the Lines, the acapella Behind the Wall, Baby Can I Hold You, Mountains of Things, She's Got Her Ticket, For My Lover, Talking About a Revolution. Great tracks. Okay, so we got several Cher albums. I'm going to kind of run through these, and I'll just kind of point out the ones that I really like. So we have The Sunny Side of Cher. Not really super into her 60s albums, so I can't really give y'all input on how I feel about these. This is her self-titled Cher. That's her and Sunny. With Love, Cher. Cher's Golden Hits. This is probably the only album that I can tolerate from the 60s, really, as a whole. Just most of her 60s albums, they don't do it for me. But this has most of the hits from that era that I can deal with. But the 60s just weren't that huge for me, beyond the ones she did with Sunny. So then we have her self-titled, or as it was re-released, Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves, to cash off of the hit status of that track. I love this album. It's so good. Her Cap Records, MCA releases from the early 70s are just so gorgeous. I love them. Every fiber of my being. The Way of Love, Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves, He'll Never Know, When You Find Out Where You're Going, Let Me Know, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother, Hate to Sleep Alone, I'm in the Middle, Touch and Go. It's just it's a very 70s album, but it's such a great album. Fun little album, quick album. I don't know, I really like it. It's fun. It's cute. Cher's music isn't really meant to be taken that seriously, and once you get to that point, then you can appreciate it for what it is. Here we have Foxy Lady. This is the same as Mariah Carey's Music Box. I'm not really super huge on this album cover. I'm just not. I don't like tight close-ups like that. Now this picture's kind of pretty. This is from 1972. And no, sadly, she doesn't cover Jimi Hendrix's version of Foxy Lady, although I seriously wish she did. No, this album is kind of, it feels very loungy, very theatrical, very glamorous and opulent. They kind of went for a very glamorous vibe with Cher in the early to mid-70s. But it worked to her advantage in a lot of ways. But the first track, Living in a House Divided, is gorgeous. I love that track. Let's see. The First Time, Let Me Down Easy, If I Knew Then, Don't Hide Your Love. There's a few tracks on here I can take or leave, really. But, yeah, this was sealed when I bought it, so I was the first one to listen to it. So it's a clean copy. Nice stuff. Then we have 1973's Bittersweet White Light. I love this album, and it's so interesting to me. It's an album full of pop standards from long time ago. But unlike a lot of those albums that just really sound outside of their time period, this definitely sounds like pop standards recorded in a 70s way. They can be kind of funky, they can be kind of interesting, and definitely have some 70s feels to them. I like By Myself, I Got It Bad, and That Ain't Good, Am I Blue, How Long Has This Been Going On, The Man I Love. The first side is just More Than You Know is good, The Man That Got Away, Why Was I Born. The Jolson medley is okay. It's not really my favorite out of the album, but as a whole, this is one of her best albums, and it's very underrated as a whole. I highly recommend it if you can try to scout this out. If you buy records and stuff, it will probably be really dirt cheap, probably in the dollar section of your record shop. If you see it, get it. It's good. I don't think it's on Spotify or streaming, unfortunately, and I think that's why it's so underrated, but still, it's good nonetheless. So then we have 1973, I think it was 73, yeah. 73's Half Breed. I'm not really super huge on the Half Breed album, and plus the track, I'm not exactly 100% sure if it's a socially acceptable track nowadays, especially with Cher donning a Indian headdress and Native American attire. Not exactly PC for today's era, but what I do like about this, I do kind of like Half Breed a little bit. Two people clinging to a thread, Carousel Man, Long and Winding Road. I like the Long and Winding Road. It's a version of the Beatles track. It's not bad, but it's my least favorite out of her Cap MCA stuff. And then we have Dark Lady, which I love. It's one of my favorite MCA releases. Of course, the title track, Train of Thought, I Saw a Man, and He Danced with His Wife. That's a gorgeous track. Make the Man Love Me, just what I've been looking for. Miss Subway of 1952, Dixie Girl, Rescue Me, What'll I Do, Apples Don't Fall Far from the Tree. One of my favorite things about Cher's 70s albums is that they're really quick and short and sweet. A lot of them are like 30 minutes long, so you don't have to invest too much time listening to them. So if I kind of want to listen to music but want to cram in a little bit of time, listen to a whole album, put on some Cher. This is her 1975 album. This is where she moved to another record label. This is called Stars. This is off of the Warner Brothers label. This was her least successful era of her career ever. These albums tanked terribly. Then we have I'd Rather Believe in You from 1976. This album is actually pretty good. I actually kind of like a lot of these tracks. And I also love these pictures too. They're some of my favorite. This was a Norman Seeff photo shoot, and Norman Seeff was so good at capturing so many of the subjects' personalities in their pictures. Because he done pictures for Joni, he done pictures for Carly Simon, John Travolta, Jodie Foster, Cher, you name it. Most of the big 70s names. Then we have 1979's Take Me Home. This was her comeback after several years without a hit. Her last real hit was Dark Lady from 1974, so 5 years later she finally comes back with a hit, and it's Take Me Home, and it's a disco track. She wasn't too huge on disco, but she did it anyway. And I don't think she's particularly huge on this outfit either, the Viking outfit. But I mean, she works it, so Cher always works her crazy outfits. But this is a good album too. Wasn't It Good? Is that Say the Word? Yeah, Say the Word. Happy Was the Day We Met. I love that track. It's just so jubilant. Love and Pain, Let This Be a Lesson to You, It's Too Late to Love Me Now, My Song, which is one of the very few tracks that Cher wrote, I believe. Did she write that? I think she did. Yeah, I think she did, because it was very autobiographical. It's basically about her second husband. Then we have Prisoner, her follow-up from 1979 as well. Then we have this really interesting one, Black Rose. This didn't have Cher's name on it or anything. The only way you know that this was Cher is by looking at the back cover. And this is a promo copy right here. And this album was released in 1980. Virtually went under the radar for the most part. Then we have her self-titled, Cher, from 1987. It's a really good album. This is where rock Cher comes into the play. I see that Miley is kind of going through her own rock era. Seems like she's kind of going after what Cher was doing in the 80s, so yeah. Then we have Believe. This is the recent repressing from 2018, and I love the shininess of it. And then it comes with this sort of gothy looking picture of Cher, which is really cool, and a lyric sheet. And then the vinyl is white. So pretty. Love white vinyl. And then the last Cher album, Dancing Queen from 2018. Great album. ABBA covers. But she did really well on them. And I believe that this is also colored vinyl too. I think it's blue. Yep. There it is. Blue vinyl. And then Miss Cher still looking amazing in her 70s. Hell yes. Next up we have Chic. Disco. Really good disco group nonetheless. I like Le Freak, of course. Save Your Affair, that's a really pretty track. It's very 70s. I Want Your Love. Decent album. But they really outdone themselves on this album. Risque. This is probably the best album. Good Times, Warm Summer Night, My Forbidden Lover, Will You Cry When You Hear This Song. Just some really good tracks on this one. And then we have their greatest hits album from 1979, same year as Risque. Say Chic came out in 1978. There's the back. It has this picture of the group. This is the last of it. Okay. The Chicks, formerly known as the Dixie Chicks. This is their album Gaslighter that just came out this year. And this is also on pink vinyl. Gorgeous. You can't really see it here, but it's definitely a hot pink. And it's also a gatefold. Here's the back. And here's the Chicks. I got this at Target a few months ago. Had to have it. Then we have Natalie Cole, Inseparable. Really good album. Decent album, I should say. Just some standard mid-70s soul, R&B type music. But it's really good. Really great album. I love Inseparable. I love This Will Be an Everlasting Love. I love Joey. That's such a cute song. I love it. Something for Nothing. You. That's just, yeah. Pretty good album. Pretty good. Here's this next one. Unforgettable with Love by Natalie Cole. This is her album where she covered a lot of songs that her father recorded. This was released in 1991. I ordered this online a long time ago. But it's a really good album. It's a long album, but it's a good album. I haven't listened to it in a long time, and I really should re-listen to it, but we might someday. Okay, now we're going into Judy Collins. Here's her number 3 album. So creative with the album title, I'll tell you what. Judy Collins, number 3. Very gorgeous eyes. Look at that. This is a really good album. She was still very folky, but she was getting more into contemporary folk than her previous albums, which were more traditional folk. Then we have the Judy Collins concert from 1964. Pretty good concert. Not a bad concert. Then we have 5th album from 1965. That's also a really good album too. I really like a few of these tracks on here. She's still really folky too. This is where she really gets into contemporary folk a little bit more than number 3. There's still some traditional folk songs on number 3, but they're mixed in with some couple of traditional ones too. Then this is where she gets sort of more art popping. This is In My Life, which is an absolute masterpiece. Very underrated 60s album as well. This has some really good stuff on it. I love Hard Love and Loser, Pirate Jenny, Suzanne, the Leonard Cohen cover. This is basically how Leonard Cohen got his fame, was through Judy Collins. And she also kind of helped Joni Mitchell in a lot of ways. I Think It's Going to Rain Today, Sunny Good Street, Liverpool Lullaby, Dress Rehearsal Rag, and all of these tracks are good. Tom Thumb's Blues, I didn't mention that one. That's a Bob Dylan track that opens the album. Just a really solid album. Another solid album is Wildflowers from 1967. This is pretty much where she had her pop breakthrough. And this is the album where she covered a couple of Joni songs. And those 2 songs were Michael from Mountains, which would end up on Joni's debut Song to a Sequel in 1968. And then, of course, Both Sides Now, which was a hit for for Judy. And Both Sides Now wouldn't appear on a Joni album until 1969, 2 years after Judy had a hit. I keep getting them mixed up, sorry. With Clouds, Joni's second album. So. But the best tracks on here are the ones that she wrote herself, which is the first time she had ever released songs she had wrote herself. And she was inspired by Leonard Cohen. Basically told her, why don't you write your own songs? And she's like, you know what? I might go for it, sure. So she wrote Since You Asked, Sky Fell, and Albatross. And Albatross, one of the most beautiful tracks I've ever heard. So gorgeous. I love it. I cannot believe that this woman literally just started writing songs when she wrote that. It's crazy to me. Who Knows Where the Time Goes. I don't know if this is... Okay, it's not. I thought it was a gatefold. This is from 1968. She kind of got a little country with this one. Recollections from 1969. This is sort of a compilation of some of her more folky stuff from the early to mid 60s. Decent compilation nonetheless. And then we have one of her best, Wells and Nightingales from 1970. This album is really great. This is where she kind of melds together her art pop, baroque pop type stuff with folk, and starts doing more traditional folk again with like The Patriot Game and Oh Had I a Golden Thread, that's a Pete Seeger track, sorry. A lot of these tracks, they do sound very traditional though, I will say. Time Passes Slowly, that's a Bob Dylan track, and it sounds really pretty, and it has a very summery, very road trippy vibe to it, which I really like. But the best parts on here is A Song for David is also a really great track that she covered. That was also a Joan Baez track. Farewell to Tarawathi is a really interesting track. It's not really one that I go to immediately, but it's basically compiled of audio that had been recorded of dolphins in the ocean, and you can hear some ocean sounds in there too. And it's just that audio bit with Judy singing the song over it in this very reverbed acapella. But the best parts of this album comes with the Nightingale suites, which is Nightingale 1 and Nightingale 2. Nightingale 1 is basically Judy playing the piano, and these are composed by Judy, and the song is just so pretty. But the second part is where her classical influence comes in, because she was classically trained, and it's so beautiful, like gorgeous arrangement. it moves me to tears every time I hear it. It's just so gorgeous. And of course, Amazing Grace, which also moves me to tears. So towards the end, I'm just like, oh my god, it's so pretty. But yeah, her version of Amazing Grace is so pretty. Love this album. And then we have Living, which I think is not the correct album. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, it is. Because I bought this recently for 99 cents. And it came with this booklet, which is really cool. I'm just now seeing. Is that... I think Judy's naked there. Right here, in the middle, playing the guitar. I think she's naked there, I think. That's interesting. Yeah, I originally got a copy of this a couple of years ago, and then I look inside, and apparently it had a completely different album in there. So that was nice. But this was in the 99-cent bin, and I got it. So, and then this is a gatefold. This is a live album from 1971. I don't really have too many thoughts on this, just because I just never really got into it. Next we actually have two copies of Colors of the Day, Best of Judy Collins. This is her first greatest hits compilation. One is this here. This is the quadraphonic version, so it sounds a little bit different. It's for quadraphonic sound systems, but it does sound different through stereo as well. And then this is the regular stereo version. I like the quad version. It's very, very cool. I always pounce on these whenever I find them, especially if they're by my favorite artist, because they're just so unique and so cool. And I managed to find this at an antique store, which was really cool. Then we have True Stories and Other Dreams. This is kind of a pretty album. I tried to get into it a couple times. It's a little bit hard to digest in some parts, but it's still pretty good. Next we have Judith, her 1975 album. This has her hit Send in the Clowns. Pretty good album. Pretty decent. Not my favorite, but it's still good. Then we have the last album of hers that is in my collection, Bread and Roses from 1976. After that is when it kind of gets... I actually do have a couple more. I have Hard Times for Lovers and Times of Our Lives, but I think I'm going to toss those out. So this is technically the last one I got. Okay, next, oh, that scared the shit out of me. I'm sorry. I'll show it to you in a minute. This is the Sweet Dream soundtrack with Patsy Cline tunes on it. I've never opened this. I've only had it for a few months, so. But it has a lot of her tracks on here. Some of her earlier stuff too. But it has like I Fall to Pieces, Crazy, Sweet Dreams, Walking Up to Midnight. And then it has like Your Cheating Heart, San Antonio Rose, Blue Moon of Kentucky, Keep on Shining. But Jessica Lange done really well with Patsy Cline. Loved her in that movie. Okay, so this I gotta show y'all. I pulled this out and then I saw this, and this scared the bejesus out of me. So this is Crosby, Stills, and Nash's album from 1969. That guy on the back creeped me out, dude. And it's got a gatefold of boys. Is that not creepy? That's creepy. Sorry. It just is. And then, so far, greatest hits. This is Painted by Joni Mitchell. As you can see, in 1974. Cool stuff. I love that. Honestly, that's kind of why I bought it. I like Crosby, Stills, Nash, you know. But I had to have it because it's just Joni. Joni. Next we have Sheryl Crow's Tuesday Night Music Club. I love this album. I first started this when I was a teenager. This is a Record Store Day release, and it's probably ridiculously expensive now. But it's on a gorgeous, like neon blue vinyl. Gorgeous stuff. And it's also a gatefold. There's that. And yeah. Sheryl Crow. Good album. Great album, actually. I like this album. Very underrated, too. And then we have Culture Club, Color by Numbers, Karma. It's really the only one I know. And finally, the last one we have is Bangers, which is now rare as crap. It goes for several $100s now, which is insane. I bought this on her store when it first came out for like $40. That's how much it was when it came out. And it has picture disc, and each picture disc is of a different album cover. I haven't listened to this in a very long time, but I loved it when it first came out. It was actually one of my favorite albums from 2013. Fun fact. We got this. And this is also a deluxe version, so it also contains the bonus tracks that were on the deluxe version of the CD. And then it comes with this. And then the back has got the track listing on it. Cool stuff. Well, we finally reached the end. Thank God. It's like 3:15 right now in the morning. Anyways, so there is the C's. Tune in next month probably for the D's, or sometime towards the end of the month. I don't know when. We'll see. But yeah. So hopefully y'all will see that. Also, I will be doing my Joni Mitchell ranking video soon, and I will also be showing off my Christmas collection. We'll probably be doing that after I get a very special package in the mail this week, which is a Christmas album that I really like. So anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope that y'all will stick around and watch some more videos of mine in the future. So thank y'all. Bye.